Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my review of the Mousedock Pro and the Basilisk V3 Pro. I definitely want to get into what I don't like and what I do like, and certainly for this release there are a lot of don't likes compared to do likes. I do want to let you guys know that the Mousedock Pro is going to run 70 bucks, the Basilisk V3 Pro is going to run 160 off the bat. One of the things that is actually most disappointing is that if you are interested in the Mousedock Pro, it does not work with any wireless charging for your DAV3 V3s or your Viper V2s. But let's get into what I like and what I don't like. All right, guys, so I'm not going to belabor the point. I do not like the Basilisk V3 for my own personal preference, for my own personal use case scenarios. Again, I am somebody who is using my gaming mouse for that literal purpose: gaming, ranked play, competitive grinding, farming points to climb ladders, and for those purposes, I certainly would recommend you guys look at the DAV3 V3 Pro, the Viper V2, depending on your hand size, your shape preference, etc. But the Basilisk V3 Pro is 115 grams. It has the same sensor as these two mice, which perform absolutely phenomenally, and you can get the Mousedock Pro, which does have the capability of 2K Hertz polling rate, 4K Hertz polling rate, or you can use it and pair it with the 4K Hertz dongle. But I don't think that the sensor performance justifies paying $160 for a shape and a weight that is so far behind the 8-ball of its brothers that were just recently released. I think if you are looking for a productivity mouse, this might fall right into your alley. I do like the fact that the mouse has this infinity scroll wheel. You hit the button, it locks, and then you get a scroll wheel that actually is quite fast, but does have well-defined steps, so I'd like having the option for productivity purposes of having that scroll. Now, not only is the mouse 115 grams, but the weight balance is just not that great. You feel a mass being in the center of that mouse. It feels as though there is just a ball of weight on the dead middle of the mouse, and you feel that as you are whipping it around. So not only is it heavy, but the weight balance is not that great. And I do think that if you're going to be using this all day for competitive grinding purposes, you're going to get tired of it, at least compared to the lightweight, crisp, airy nature of either the Viper V2 or the DAV3 V3. I do like the fact that the wireless charging here is easy as pie, but it just doesn't make sense to me that the only thing compatible with that wireless dock is the Basilisk V3. It doesn't work with the DAV3, it doesn't work with the Viper V2, and I think if you're going to be paying $60 or $70 just for that 4K Hertz polling rate, I would rather get the 4K Hertz polling rate dongle for 15 bucks and not worry about wireless charging my mouse. I am perfectly content with taking that USB-C cable and plugging it in at the front of the mouse. I do think that Razer is doing a fabulous job listening to the users. Every release seems to have a ever-increasing tactility and feedback response of those optical switches, and the Basilisk V3 is certainly no slouch in that regard. These switches feel extremely tactile, extremely poppy, and just the tensioning here is almost perfect. I have literally almost zero side flex unless I'm pulling very hard side to side, and I do think that the pre- and post-travel here, there's just a bit of pre-travel and virtually no post-travel, and Mouse 4 and Mouse 5 both feel pretty damn good. The only thing that feels extremely wonky is this little like boob button here on the side of the mouse. I think it's just a little bit big. It's a little bit poorly positioned. I do think that the Basilisk V3 is probably a mouse for like large-handed users like myself, and my thumb personally wants to rest right over that button, and it just doesn't feel good. It makes me force my grip a little bit further down the mouse, and I would much rather kind of have it in a more comfortable position, and it just kind of makes contact at all times with that button, and that button does have a lot of side flex, a lot of wobble, a lot of pre-travel, and not really all that much post-travel. So all the buttons feel pretty damn good except for this little side button. In terms of the shell, you guys can see like there's these little areas where the matte version of the shell dips down and you get a different lower level of this glossy finish. I think it looks cool, right? But the problem is then you have these raised areas of these kind of pointed angles, and my hand and palm have kind of poked into these little areas, and it kind of scratches you a little bit. It's just not the most enjoyable thing. So you don't really have an experience that feels very well thought out for that palm positioning, which I think a lot of people are going to want to use for a mouse like this. So all in all, guys, it's probably a mouse that is better suited for content creation if you're going to use all the macros, if you're going to use that infinite scroll wheel. But I think at 115 grams, if you're going to be using it for FPS, if you're going to be using it for competitive purposes, there's just too many other very good options in the Razer lineup right now that I think the Basilisk V3 for $10 more than these other mice falls very flat at that price point. It's just not a mouse that I am going to jump up in arms for, and certainly a mouse that is not going to remain on my desk after this review. And at least from a productivity side, it does have Bluetooth connectivity, and the skates are okay. And guys, this is going to come off a little bit as a rant because it absolutely is, but there are very good mice that have just hit the market. I do have a review of the Fantech Aria. I have a review of the Lamzu Atlantis. And again, these mice combined are still less money than the Basilisk V3 Pro. Not only are these mice combined less money, but these mice combined are also less weight than the Basilisk V3 Pro. So it's a very confusing thing to see Razer kind of just escalating and inching higher and higher in price. $160, I think, is just a lot to ask for in a mouse, especially when it doesn't come with a magnetic charging device or a 4K Hertz dongle. Not only is it a lot of money to be asking for a mouse like this, but it's just so far behind the trends of what people are moving towards. We see Logitech with their G Pro Superlight, of course, being a very lightweight mouse compared to the Basilisk V3, but Razer themselves have just released two very lightweight options in the DAV as well as the Viper V2. So I think there's just too many good options on the market right now for less money if you're looking for a very solid and fun gaming experience. So is it a gaming mouse? Is it a productivity mouse? I'm just not too sure. So guys, if you're a Basilisk lover, if you're a G502 lover, I totally get it. You might absolutely love the Basilisk V3 Pro. You might not care about that 115 grams. But for me, I do. It's not something I like. Again, if you are looking solely for that productivity, you're looking for those macros, go for it if you're okay with paying $160. I think the price is steep for what you're getting, and I think it's just a very confusing mouse to have the powerful gameplay internals with a mouse that just doesn't really have the trends of gaming mice, including the weight distribution, and fixing up that abomination of a button on the side of the mouse. I like the rubber grips. I don't like the different level shell. I do think it is an annoyance, and it is something, again, that you will feel in-game every so often, depending on your grip. And the dock, as cool as it is, for its price of admission, the fact that it only works with the Basilisk V3 Pro, I certainly wouldn't get it. I wouldn't recommend getting it since it doesn't have compatibility with the other mice. Again, you might be able to connect those other mice to the 4K Hertz polling rate option. But again, the wireless charging only works with the Basilisk V3 Pro, and I just don't quite get it. So guys, it's not a mouse that I'm going to recommend. It's one that I am not going to continue having on my desk. But if you, again, are looking for a G502 alternative, it is something that you will be able to have that 4K Hertz polling rate on it if that is something that you need or feel you need in your life. I hope that helped, guys. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.